back to my channel, or welcome back for a brand new video. So I feel like I look really pale on camera, and then there's like one splodge of bronzer. We're just gonna roll with it. Anyway, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, today's video is another long awaited chatty one. So I just want to say a quick massive thank you for all the love and all the really lovely comments and messages I've received after one of my biggest uploads I've ever made on YouTube, and I've been on here a long time, which was a very long video, being really real and honest with you guys. And I just want to know what this is, but I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because that was the most vulnerable I've ever been, probably in my entire life other than therapy, that I've just been completely honest, because it is a scary world out there, as I'm fully aware, and I just feel very grateful for the community of people that I've got around me, because you made that video a lot less scary for me once I pressed upload. I remember I was outside work, pressed upload, and I was like nearly hyperventilating. I know, a bit dramatic, but that is me. So today I'm going to sit down and talk with you guys about mental health, bring some more awareness to mental health, because I received some really lovely comments on the video that I've just mentioned, showing appreciation for me bringing things up that, you know, I believe deserve more chat about, you know. Like the stigma around mental health and having mental health as an individual, which a lot of us do have, I find is a lot better than it used to be, but it still needs to be broken more. And I take it as a responsibility as someone that is living with mental health day to day, that I have a little area where I can talk about it and talk about my journey with it and coping things and stuff like that. So that's kind of what this video is going to be about. It's quite a positive one, to be honest, because I feel like I touched on a lot of the dark times in my previous videos. So we're gonna more, this is like the second video, kind of like it's in like the little series that I've done. It's the duo that you never knew you needed or wanted, kind of talking about where I was with where I was at with my mental health, and then where I am today and how I got here. So yeah, get a cozy drink, get under a warm blanket and saddle up, because you're in for another long one probably. So I have never actually discussed or spoken about what mental health conditions I have. Obviously anxiety is one that I have openly spoken about, so I've kind of touched on some, and I just feel like there's nothing wrong with being open about what you have to live with every day, you know. And I just think the more we talk about it, the more we normalise it and stuff like that. So that is my kind of general idea with this video. So I really hope it helps any of you, but if you are, I'm going to say now, if you're struggling, I hope, because obviously I'm going more on the positive vibe, that it can really help any of you guys and just maybe give you an insight into me as a person. If you're really struggling, please reach out to people, and also maybe don't watch this video, definitely not the other one, because that was really delving in deep. But yeah, just see how you go on through the video. I don't think there'll be, there may be a section where I'll put a trigger warning, but I will put it in before. So yeah, but anyway, so I live with, because I say, in my bad times, I say I suffer with. And this is, everything that I say in this video is based on my personal journey and me as an individual. I'm not saying this is how you should be, how you should talk about yourself. This is just me, all about me, but you know what I mean. So when I was going through it, I really focused on the word suffer. For me, it dragged me down a pit of self-pity and self-loathing, actually, in the end. But I say I live with mental health because I feel very blessed the fact that I am living with it, you know. Granted, some days I'm like, I wish I could just get rid of all this noise in my head, but reality doesn't, and scientifically it just doesn't work like that. So I live with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. They're my three main ones, which I think a lot of people can probably tell from my videos, especially ADHD. And someone I really relate to, there's quite a few content creators on TikTok that I relate to a lot, and Sam Thompson, who everyone that's watching this will know who he is, I am pretty sure, if you're from the UK anyway. But Sam Thompson was on Made in Chelsea. Did not know who he was then, and to be honest, I'm not trying to throw any shade, but Made in Chelsea is not my kind of TV programme, I'm not gonna lie. However, I think he's one of the most genuine souls that's come out of that show. So yeah, anyway, and I find his like spreading awareness for ADHD really super helpful, and it helped me understand a lot about myself as well. So I definitely recommend, if you have ADHD, recently been diagnosed with ADHD, checking out some people that have it and spread awareness about it, because it can be really informative. Yeah, so they're like the 3 really sort of like have been dominant in my life pretty much all my life, to be honest. And then the ones I got referred by my GP to a mental health team / clinic, and when I touched on in my previous video about antipsychotic medication, that for me personally did not work for me at all, but I had assessments done and diagnoses and stuff like that. So I was assessed for bipolar, personality disorder, and autism, and I'm borderline autistic, and I have got bipolar and personality disorder. Now, when I first ever heard about these, especially bipolar and personality disorder, there is just such a negative stigma around it, you know, and it scared. I was genuinely, to be completely honest with you, when I got this information through, I was terrified. It made so much sense. It made me feel like, believe it or not, I wasn't going crazy, but also it terrified the crap out of me, because there was such, and there can still be such a negative stigma around those conditions. And I'm here to tell you that if you suffer with them as well, or you are living with them, you are not a bad person, you know. And I'm saying that from my experience. I know obviously in different situations, you know, I'm just judging on people in my life that I know that have lived with it, and also myself. I felt like I was so long in my life, I was so confused about who I was, what my brain was doing, like it was just all madness. And I just got clarification to me that I wasn't going crazy. And despite some people saying when they found out I have these conditions that I am a nutcase, which is one thing I want to touch on when it comes to mental health. The internet's really, really good when something really bad happens to go, be kind, be kind. If you're in the world, you can be anything, be kind. But then as soon as that big thing has died down on the internet anyway, it's just back to really nasty comments, isn't it? And I have had, I'll be honest, I have had comments from people off the internet, because obviously I've never spoken about it before, so I'll buckle in just in case, but to be honest, I don't care. I have had comments making really horrible digs at my mental health and the conditions that I live with on a day-to-day basis. And this is just a polite public service announcement. If you are one of these people that thinks it's funny to troll someone online or in real life, no matter how you do it, being negative towards someone for any reason is disgusting. However, I'm talking mainly on mental health and these conditions in conversation now. I think you need to take a really good look at yourself, because before I got diagnosed with these things, I had people in my personal life making digs, assuming that I was. Granted, they weren't wrong, but the things they were saying were very derogatory, basically really rude. And part of those comments haunted me when I actually got told I did have these conditions, because I was like, oh my god, I'm this evil, nasty person, when in reality I am not. I was a very confused, broken person. I completely lost myself, and that was that. So I just want to spread a bit of love, because if any of you watching have the conditions that I've mentioned, or you know anyone, you know, because it affects not just the person that's got it, it affects the people around them, you know, be there for your loved ones, be there for your friends, and don't be like some of the people that I've had in my life that have turned against me for those reasons. But in hindsight, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I'm on so much more of a purer path now and a happier path, which we'll get into. But yeah, so I got diagnosed with those conditions, and that was when I was at my rock bottom. It was just before me and my ex broke up, and I was just at the beginning of hell, because what I experienced afterwards was complete and utter hell for me. I felt like a guinea pig. I was tested on so many different medications, and none of them were working. They were either making me feel worse, or I felt like I was going more crazy. So then they prescribed me antipsychotics, which for me, I have no shame, and this is no shame to anyone that takes them at all. Whatever you need to do to help you function and to help you live your life, you do it. If it's being prescribed by a doctor and you got to, like, it's your choice at the end of the day. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but what I'm trying to say is there is nothing wrong with antipsychotic medication. I'm not trying to say there is, but for me, they did not work. And I had to fight a battle with my GP and the team that I was referred to, because I said, this is not for me. They weren't having any of it, and I literally turned around to them and went, I can't take this medication anymore. So it then got finally into being prescribed venlafaxine, which I'm happy to talk about, which kind of combats everything that I've got, and just keeps me sane along with other things that I do. And I mentioned in my previous video, I think, about Dr. Alex George, who rose to fame on Love Island all those years ago, and he's done so much for mental health since then, as he's gone through his own struggles, but also he knows that it's the reality of most people's lives these days. And he did a campaign called Post Your Pill, and that really resonated with me, with the fact that loads of comments I saw of people interacting with that campaign felt relieved to see someone in the public eye breaking the stigma of taking medication for mental health, because I was once again ridiculed by people for taking medication for my mental health, telling me that I should be strong enough to deal with it on my own. If I've gone to a doctor and they have said, in our medical professional opinion, this is the best route for you, I'm going to go with what they say. I'm not a qualified doctor, and neither are the people that were ridiculing me either. So at the end of the day, if you are put on medication and it's working for you, listen to no one about it other than your GP. Do you know what I mean? Because I then went down the rabbit hole of not really taking my venlafaxine for very long. I was put on a dose. I'm not going to talk about the dosage, to be honest, because that is personal to me. A lot of this is quite personal, to be honest, but I'm happy to share. I was on quite a low dose, and it did gradually get higher and higher, because it's just what I needed, and it's what I need at the moment. But there was a time when I wasn't really taking it, to be honest with you, which is probably, shockingly enough, what contributed to the lack of stability for me mentally. But for the last 8 months, consistently, I've only missed one medication, which was a complete accident. So with what I've been doing to get myself better and getting back to me again and the best version of myself and the woman that I've always, in my opinion, been destined to be, cringe but true, not even cringe, but you know what I mean, I have been able to take control of my mental health to a degree, which is really freeing and liberating, to be honest with you. So yeah, so I take that in the evenings, and I also take Propanol throughout the day if I need it, which is a beta blocker, and that is for anxiety and things like that, and I find that works. Obviously that is not a permanent fix. Beta blockers are not to be used. Also, I've been told by my GP permanently, and that is obviously not the plan, but at the moment they're what helps me, and I'm not ashamed to say that. So yeah, that's kind of like my medication that helps me keep my head screwed on. And then talking about sort of like, what else is there to talk about? So when I was at my rock bottom, I felt like I was going nuts. I was driving people away, so I wasn't a very nice person. I wouldn't say I was nasty, but some people may come up and say I was. To be honest with you, I can't really remember a lot of that time. I remember big, massive parts of it, but I guess it's my subconscious trying to maybe let me let go of stuff. I don't know, but I wouldn't say I was a nasty person, but I was very broken. I was very lost. I felt very alone, even though technically I wasn't. And I drove a lot of people away, which meant I was basically isolating in my room, signed off work for so long, and just in a horrendous headspace. And by the grace of God, I was introduced to therapy that I am going to, I'm involved in. And when I tell you now, if I had not have been introduced to it, I know for a fact that I would not be here in this state anyway, talking to you guys today. And I feel really, really grateful for the fact that I'm able to live my life the way I am now, because I'm by no means saying, oh my God, I'm more shiny than you, I don't have bad days, because I do, you know, but the good days always outweigh the bad. And yeah, and I can live a life where I'm working full-time. I love my job, I love the team I work with, I have a relationship with my mum today. We make plans, I can adhere to them, like I can stick to them, should I say. I've just been to my grandma's today. We had like 2 hours of just chatting. You know, Sundays for me at the moment are just a family day, going around to my grandma and seeing her, which is something that I would never have thought was possible due to my mental health and due to other situations that are going on in my life. So I'd always see these people on TikTok, on YouTube, talking about this kind of thing, you know, kind of touching on where their life was like, what it was like, and then what it's like now, and I'm thinking, I would never be that person. So if any of you are watching this thinking, yeah, girl, I'm not going to get there, I was in your shoes, quite literally. However, I am now sitting here thankfully and saying that it gets so much better. I had so many of my friends telling me, oh girl, there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm like, what fucking light? I can't see no light around here. And thankfully there was a lot of light, and I've just kind of gone charging towards it. I'm kind of like a 0 to 100 kind of person, which is a bit of a character defect, I'm not gonna lie. But it's also a really positive thing in this case, because I've kind of thrown myself headfirst in the deep end, and thankfully it's been a pretty good journey. Don't get me wrong, it's been hard. There's been times where I have really struggled, but I've got such an amazing support network around me, which I know is something not to take for granted, because I know there are a lot of people that don't have what I've got, and I count myself very lucky, and I wish what I had and what I have now, sorry, everyone could have, because the world would be so much more of a brighter place for people and a happier place for people to live in. But yeah, so touching on something that I've mentioned on my channel before, and that is alcohol. So I am in a week's time 6 months sober, and this was kind of a choice slash a necessity for me to stop, and that's all I'm really going to say about it, except for the fact that since I have stopped drinking, I have been in so much of a better space and been able to deal with uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable situations, hard things going on in life, because life throws you stuff. No matter what you're doing, no matter what stage you are in your life, life will always show up, and it's how we deal with it, and it's how we grow from it as a person. And since I have cut that out of my life, I have actually been able to deal with things head on. I always used to say I was a really upfront person. Was I? Heck, I was in certain situations, but now I can deal with things in a mature, healthy way and a respectful way. Don't get me wrong, if you do annoy me and you proceed to annoy me, or if you do anything to my family, God help you. However, when it comes to me personally, I can deal with things a lot better now. I don't fly off the handle. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I do have a few moments of but I've noticed a massive change. My family have seen a massive change in me since I have cut out alcohol and just gone completely teetotal, which was a choice, but kind of not, if that makes sense, without going too much into it, because that's like unraveling a lot of things that that's in the past for me now. But yeah, so yeah, as I said, nearly 6 months sober, which I never thought would be, obviously, other than being a child, but since I turned 18, I didn't think that would be possible, because I felt like I would have to do that to have fun. But the detrimental effects alcohol had on my mental health was insane. And I tell you this from a place of love, because once again, there is no judgment in this video to anyone that may be struggling with the same things I struggle with. If you're struggling with them right now, or if you've ever struggled with them in general, please don't think this is a judgy video, because it's not at all. My heart feels for you, all of you, because I know what it feels like. But what I'm saying is the best thing I did was get the support I did, be around the right people, because I was definitely around the wrong kind of crowds for a long time. Granted, I gravitated towards them because I had similar behaviours, which I don't have anymore, which I count my lucky stars today that I don't. However, I wasn't in the best situations, I wasn't around in the right environments, and that kind of was a detrimental effect onto how I got so bad. But in the last 6 months in particular, I have worked on myself so much. And I'm going to try and not cry because I've got makeup on, but when I tell you I've worked on myself, I've not just worked on like certain little things. I've worked on absolutely everything. I've worked on past traumas, childhood trauma that has dominated my whole life. I'm not going to say it's not around, if you see what I mean. Some days it lingers, but most days it doesn't. I was able to let go in a really healthy way, something that, as I got older and processed, traumatised the hell out of me. And I have been able to let it go. And to say that, I always get a bit emotional when I say that, because to say that I've let it go, or I'm in the process of letting it go, but in that instance when I worked through it and spoke to someone about it and I really dig deep into it, which was hard. I'm not saying it was easy, I was a mess, but it was so freeing. The journey I've been on is so freeing. I live a life today where I wake up in the morning. Granted, I feel a bit ugh, because I'm not a morning person at all. I don't get that, but anyway, sorry. I don't even know where I was. I've lost my train of thought. But I'm not saying it was easy. Yeah, that's where I was. But to let go of something that, when I tried counselling and other things, which I'm not ripping on because it works for some people, didn't work for me. I didn't think, I've been told all on my journey that, yeah, you'll be able to let things go, things that have consumed you, which led you down wrong paths, or you believe led you down wrong paths. You can let it go. And little old Lily back in the day, who didn't really know what was going on, bless her, talking about myself third person is so weird, but to know that I feel safe as an individual now. It's mind-blowing, sorry. Because I've never really felt safe. As an individual within myself, knowing who I am, being secure in who I am, feeling strongly about who I am as a person, and knowing that I'm doing the best I can every single day. I've never been that person, and I know I am today, and it's just an absolute miracle. So yeah, so touching on again sort of the medication, so I've been taking that consistently, which has had a massive part to play. However, the other stuff that I've been doing to keep me level-headed and grounded, to do with my mental health and to help me live life and not be in survival mode, because I was in survival mode for pretty much the last 5 years, barely hanging on to survival mode, to be completely honest with you, and I am now in living mode. Some days are survival mode-ish, but today and life in general, I am so much freer and peaceful. Like, I can communicate, as I said, in a healthy way. I've got people, like-minded people, and also my family who I can talk to, who have only ever wanted to be there for me. And due to my mental health and other things, I alienated all of them, which is a really weird thing for me to say now, because I couldn't even imagine doing that. But it's just a fact, it's just the truth of what happened. So yeah. And with what came with bad mental health for me, it came with really toxic relationships, whether that be friendships, romantic relationships, if you could even call them romantic, to be completely honest with you, but that's just my journey. We live and we learn. And just getting myself in the really wrong situations because I genuinely did not care about myself. And that is really sad. It is really, really sad that I just did not care, because it was so inconsiderate. Not necessarily to myself, obviously it is, but it's so inconsiderate to my family. I did not care what happened. That was the stage I was at. So if we're looking at the person I was then to the person I'm at now, miles apart, they're not even anywhere near each other. And that's the point I'm trying to get through. If with my journey, I have changed things around in such a short period of time, but it feels like a lifetime. Like, I didn't think this was possible. I didn't think it would be possible to work full time and enjoy it and be happy. I didn't think it would be possible to have a relationship with my family where I'm not worrying them half to death all the time. I didn't think it was possible to have friends that genuinely care about you and love you and you can do the same to them. I didn't think any of that was remotely possible because of A, what my head was telling me in past experiences and how I was treating other people. I don't think I deserved it. As in, I didn't deserve the good people in my life. But today, it's not like that. Today, I have got the most amazing friends. I am so grateful. Chloe, Rhiannon, Courtney, blooming so many. Like, they're my three main gals. I've got Nina, I've got girls from work, and I've just got, it's just mind-boggling to me that I can have such healthy relationships. It's mind-boggling in a good way, because those girls in particular have seen me through hell and back, and they never left my side. And I am just so blessed to have them. They're the kind of friends, and especially girl mates, that I always dreamed of having. And I never thought having girl mates would be a possibility for me. And it's just, it's so beautiful. And then, of course, I've got other friends that I'm close with, but you know, you kind of have those people that are your people, and then you've got other people you're friendly with. you know, I can go down the street now without being panicking about what I look like, what I'm doing, what I'm, you know, because there was a time where I was in self-hatred about myself, as in, and this is where I'm going to put a trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about body image and stuff like that. So I'll put on the screen, and I promise I will, the time when I stop talking about this, because I don't want to upset anyone or trigger anyone. Okay, so I have suffered from body dysphoria for such a long time, I think that's how you say it, and struggles with my eating as well. I'm a lot better now, thank God, but the body issues are still they can be very strong, you know, but I'm getting there. And I think the reality of it is not comparing myself to people online, because the amount that, especially AI, okay, so I had to start filming again, but AI has screwed a lot of things up, and it's also a very dangerous thing in my opinion from what I've heard. But Photoshop and all of that kind of toxic stuff, unrealistic beauty standards, is something that I consume myself with for such a long time, like so many people do. And then I got to a certain physique that was not done in a healthy way at all. And then I was obsessed. I became obsessed with it. I felt like I had to have validation for how I looked. Not for what was inside, just for what I looked like on the outside, which in reality is so backward thinking, but at that time in my life, that was my normality. So, you know, when I was in constant contact with the doctors about things like that, and they offered me support, which is why I am at the way I'm at today. The doctors I'm with, compared to the doctors I was with before I actually got put on tablets I needed, was absolutely shocking. That's the kind of doctor surgery that I understand when people get so annoyed with GPs and GP surgeries. The staff was so unhelpful, so rude, and just really not very nice at all, and a lot of people around that area agreed. I'm not saying that they're not nice people, but in that environment where people go in so vulnerable and broken, and you're getting told you're young, you're just a child, you don't know, along those gist, it's just not okay. So the doctors I'm with have practically saved my life. They are a massive part on how I am alive today, to be honest with you. The support I got from the nutritionists and dietitians at that GP, or they referred me to, were incredible. And I know from personal experience how hard it is to walk into a room and say you've got a problem and you need help. I know how hard that is. But if I hadn't have done that, and if I hadn't really been pushed to do it by my mum and my friends, it would have got a lot worse. It was bad enough as it was. So basically, when I talk about when I was worried about what I looked like, I was just so obsessed that I had to look okay. Bear in mind, I looked the worst I'd ever been, not necessarily just because of weight, but because I was hollow inside and out. I was a shell. So today I still have a bit of a poor diet, I'm not gonna lie. I do love my chocolate and stuff, but there's nothing wrong with that, because if I tell myself I can't have something, that's it, the mental obsession comes in, and I can't afford to do that. So I did start going to the gym, which had an amazing impact on my mental health. I know a lot of people say it makes them feel afterwards, but for me it was actually amazing. And then I just stopped going. Once again, as I said, I'm all in or all out. But that is something I want to get back into, and swimming, because that's something I really, really enjoyed and found liberating getting back into after 5 years. So yeah. But that has dominated, because I've had so many nice comments going, oh, you're getting so much more confident in yourself, we're really seeing it. And those kind of comments, or any kind of positive comments, don't get me wrong, but those kind of comments really make my heart like swell a bit, because I never would have thought I would have got comments like that, because I didn't feel it. Do you know what I mean? People know, they notice when you are giving off that energy, you know. So yeah, so today I live a much healthier life, mentally and physically. Physically I'm still work in progress, and mentally still, every day is a new day to deal with things. But what I'm trying to say is I am in so much of a better place, so much of a better place. And when I'm having a bad day, I reach out to people, and I actually do that, swear to God himself. I talk to my mum, or my mum knows anything anyway. We have a very, very close and open relationship, which I know I'm very lucky to have. I speak to my best friends, I speak to anyone that I know I can talk to about it, I talk to them about it, because they are my rhyme and reason. Because my head can tell me I'm a really shitty person, that I'm not worth anything, that I'm this, that and that, and then I have to rewire and go, hang on a minute, this is not reality. My head has a really good way of trying to trick me, but I don't listen to it, and I actually put action into my life to make myself better. So I don't really know where I'm going with the rest of this, to be honest, but the main gist of this video is to break the shame around mental health, because I remember a time in my life that I would never sit in front of a camera and talk about my struggles, what I've been through, what medication I'm on, because I'd be so paranoid and overthinking about the negative comments that I could get, or people having insight into my personal life. At the end of the day, I'm not ashamed of what I've gone through, who I am. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've told you. If anything, I'm really proud of myself for how far I've come. And my transparency, I know, can help people, as I've read in comments. And that is gift enough for me. If I've just helped one person, or helped one person help another, that is priceless to me. Because, you know, mental health can make you feel so alone and so isolated in a world full of people. And I just think it's really important that we just don't shy away from these kind of taboo topics per se. So if there's anything else you'd really like me to talk about mental health wise, like particular conditions that I have, or diagnoses or whatever, please let me know in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed this video, got something from it. My comments are a safe space. Any negativity towards anyone or myself will just get removed, because it's just not needed. The world is such a scary place, and if I can keep my little corner of the internet a positive and happy energy, thriving angel space, then that is what I'm going to do. So yeah, that is it from me. I really hope you guys are all right. My comment section and my Instagram DMs are always open, so pop me a message if you ever want to chat. I'll put it on the screen now. But yeah, don't forget to smash the big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next vlog or video, whichever you watch first. Bye.